Now we have your college application checklist. So what is it that you require to do over the 4 years of your high school, which is class 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th? The first key thing that you should keep in mind is grades from 9th to 12th have to have an upward slope, unless you have a compelling reason why your grades are falling. For example, you were not well, there was a death in the family, there were certain extenuating circumstances other than these which you can use uh, to justify grades that are falling. Otherwise, the impression that the admission committee will take is that you are not able to put up with a higher level of teaching or with a higher level of curriculum. So while of course it is best to have extremely high grades throughout your class 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th, if you're not able to keep up with very high grades, at least make sure that your grades are not dipping, in the sense that, class 9, you had gotten your CB, you got a CGP of around 10, and in class 10 it has dipped down to 9.4. In class 11, in your internal tests, you are scoring about 60-70%, because only what you're waiting for is a great score in the CBSE. Remember that if you're applying to the US, you're applying even before your CBSE official test results are out, and you're applying with your class 9th internal school exam test reports, you're applying with your class 10th internal school results along with your CBSE scores, and your class 11th and up to midterm class 12th internal test results will be the basis on which you get your admission in the US. So if you are planning to apply to the US, kindly make sure that you're doing well or to the best of your ability in the internal examinations of the school. Secondly, meet with a large number of college counselors. For example, today you're meeting with me. Meet with a large number of college counselors and then take their point of view. And having visited a large number of college counselors, try and come to a conclusion on your own as to what will make your application shine in the eyes of the admission committee. Then compare colleges. You will find a large number of counselors or organizations that help with application insisting on the ranking of the university. While ranking of the university could be one of the reasons for your wanting to join that university, first you have to find out about right fit. So, so right fit will be firstly, what is your budget? Secondly, what is the end outcomes that you want to achieve in a particular college or through the education in a particular subject that you feel like going for? Thirdly, do you prefer a large university which takes in about a few thousand students, or do you prefer a college which takes in only about 100 odd, 250 odd, and you are a small but very closely knit community? Do you like a campus? Do you like a city life? Do you like a college environment to be such where you have what you call as the Greek life, or you want something which is on the lines of traditional education? So what are all the parameters that are important for you to shine? First, list that down and then compare the colleges according to what you feel will be right or best fit for your requirements. Then, having put together a list of about 25 to 30 odd universities, find out what is the admission requirement in each school, and then compare with students who have been accepted to have a feeling of whether you are within the ballpark range of getting admitted to that university or in successfully applying to that university so that you're at least shortlisted. The next will be to appear for standardized tests, which is the SAT and or the ACT test, which is the alternate for the SAT. And we encourage students to appear in a large number of SAT subject and advanced placement tests. And of course, if you are a student who still has time while you're in class 9th and 10th and 11th, we encourage you to try your hand at being an all-rounder, which means you should participate in all kinds of extracurricular activities. If you can, join an internship. If you can't be an intern, at least do some job shadowing. And a large number of students that I am helping this year have some amount of research that they have already completed while completing their CBSE curriculum. Let's take that. No, not now, later. Then, of course, you start applying to the universities. The applications, especially the common applications, start up from the month of August, and you are expected to start, with your applications, drawing up your list, knowing what is the deadlines, and completing the applications. Wait for acceptance letters. So if it is early decision applications, then normally by the end of December or by the mid or by the end of December, you will know what is happening. We will share the details with you. You go to the College Board website and from there you can apply. In fact, if you go to our blog, from there only you can see what are the details. Now, once you have applied to the college, of course, then you will wait for your acceptance letters. Your acceptance letters should come to you by the end of December if you're applying early decision. And if you're applying regular applications, then by latest by the mid of April is when you will get your applications offered, if at all. After that, of course, starts the process of choosing a college and applying for your visas. And then, of course, I always advise students to go to USIF to attend their US pre-departure briefings. We also have our pre-departure briefings at 10. This is a common question that we have, and in fact, I would have taken it up in a later part of my session. But I'll take it up right now since I'll take it up now so that it's clarified in your head right away. So USA has mainly three kinds of applications that they have: early decision, early action, and regular decision or regular applications. So early decision means the turning word is decision, which means if you apply early decision and if the university decides to give you an admission, then you are required to take up the offer of that university, which basically means that you cannot then apply for admission in other universities. A large number of universities encourage you to apply early without the decision of your admission in that university being binding. If that be the case, then we have a situation of what we call is the early application, early applications, which normally the deadlines will be around the 1st of November, sometimes by the 15th of, some universities are 15th of October, some are 1st of November, will be your early application deadlines. The advantage of early applications is that you know or you get the decision of the universities before you have sat for your CBSE exams. And of course, regular application is when the normal application deadline of the university, where neither the offer nor the decision of acceptance is binding on the student. Now, the application essay. So we'll come to the poll after that. A lot of the students and seem to feel that the application essay is the work that needs to be done absolutely at the end, after you have completed all the other requirements of completing your application profile. Having helped more than 20,000 students over the years in completing their applications and writing their profiles and all that, I can tell you that the application essay is probably the most important aspect of your overall application, in the sense that the application essay is probably the only part of the essay where you are talking about your own self. The rest of the application is just a number. So whether you have got 80% in your English or 90% in your mathematics, or whether you have completed a research project here, or you have been sleeping at home, or you have completed 40 hours of voluntary work in such and such organization and this and that, it does not give a color to your application. The only part that adds color to your application is the essays and the recommendation letters that your teachers will write for you. But the essay is that part which talks about you as a person. So therefore, choose a topic that is important to you and that about which you are passionate, and concentrate on that part of your personality or on your profile that is already not there in some part of the application or the other. So, for example, in the essays, a lot of the universities talk about or want to know about a special talent that you have that compels you to apply to my university. So don't say my special talent is scoring very well in the examination, which you may laugh, but a large number of students, the first line that they write is, I am a student who is extremely proficient in my examinations, and that is the reason why I wish to apply to such and such major in your university. Firstly, obviously what you're saying here is one of the reasons why you wish to join, but they want to know what is your interest in the subject. How is it that you react when you are faced with studying topics that will not be taught in class? So that will only be possible if you have a passion for that subject. So therefore, we always concentrate on the word passionate. You must be passionate about something. You must have a trail which you can show that from at least from class 9th onwards you have been doing these things, and not just by saying that I am interested. So the difference between interested and being passionate has to be clear through your essays. And of course, as I said, it should have something that is not already there in other parts of your application. Now, while writing your essay, firstly, brainstorm on what is it that you exactly wish to convey about yourself. First, the end outcome has to be clear. I wish to convey such and such thing about myself through this essay. Then, having established the end outcome, you start brainstorming on whatever it is that will aid and assist you in achieving your end objective, and this will be in the form of points. So this is what we call is the brainstorming part of it. So you have written down at least 15-20 points based on which you feel you're the greatest person on earth to be admitted to the best universities across the world. Now you keep that ready. Some of these 20 points, maybe 3 or 4, will be important in a certain set of universities. The other points may be useful in some other university. Keep these brainstorm points ready with you. Then start writing an essay. And after you have written an essay, then critically get it analyzed and edited by your friend or using professional help. So while brainstorming, what is it that you have to do? And while brainstorming, you must ask yourself, what is my background and what are some of my experiences? So do I have a compelling background? For example, I'm the first person in my family to be going to college. So that itself is a compelling background. Then, for example, what has been my experiences which has shaped me as a person? So what I am today is the result of my past experiences. So what are all those experiences, or what are all those turning points in my life that have made me the person that I am today? And having been through all these experiences and turning points in my life, what then is critically important to me? And in order to achieve whatever it is that is important to me, what is it that I aspire to become as a professional? And to understand what I aspire to be as a professional, I need to be knowing what is it that I am exactly passionate about while doing the range of activities that I have been doing while in school. So the brainstorming session is a large amount of work that typically takes at least 1 or 2 weeks before you have, a list, as I said, of 15-20 points at least, which you wish to use in the essay. Then I think we'll get over this. Then once you have brainstormed and once you have narrowed down on your potential topics, you get down to writing. When you get down to writing, forget the word limit that is there on the website saying that you have to write 1500 characters, or you have to write within 650 words, or you have to write within 500 words. Forget that at the moment. Just write whatever comes to mind that binds the various parts of your essay together. Once you have done that, now look at every word, see whether it is important in adding that word or sentence. What if you remove it? Will it take away from whatever you wish to convey? And then start the editing process. Through my own experience, I can tell you, an 1100 to 1200 word essay can be cut down to 500 words within half an hour, because most of what has been written is merely fluff. So if you are wanting to write a 650 word essay, conveniently you can write up to 1500 and then critically analyze and cut it down to about 600, 620 words. That is more than good enough. Then proofread. In order to proofread while editing, please take a printout of your application essays. A lot of you seem to be only doing it online. And that online is a very problematic method of proofreading, because you only scan. You can't, read the each word of the essay. The other requirement is that sentences should not be more than 10 or 12 or 15 words, and you will use active sentences. So that's the main requirement of your application essays. But we have discussed the importance of application essays. In fact, I think that's the maximum time that I would have taken on in this entire session. What do you feel is the importance of the application essay in the total application package that you will be sending to the university? To the extracurricular activities, what is it that we are wishing to convey to the admission committee? Of course, I am trying to convey that I am a leader, so I am trying to convey leadership qualities. I am trying to convey perseverance in a certain activity. I am trying to show that I am able to work in a team and that I am passionate and focused on an activity other than just being a bookworm. All right. And a large number of your highly elite colleges will, after having had a benchmark level of your academics, which has to be again at a very high level, they will look at your extracurriculars to see whether you have the wherewithal to fit into their colleges. Firstly, what are the qualities that they're looking at? Dedication. All right. So here you need not have a large number of activities that you are participating in. You may have a small little activity that you are interested in, but you're interested in it for the whole duration of, let's say, from class 8 onwards, you are being involved in a certain activity. Like I had a student called Jayanti last year who did a research work on, all these packaged foods that they were eating. All right. So from class 8 onwards, she was doing a research work on the health effects of packaged foods. And later on in class 11, she formed her own organization in the school. And then she only did that one activity over the duration of 4 or 5 years. She got admitted into Princeton University because she was able to show dedication towards that one cause. Or alternative could be, you are giving yourself about 15 hours in the week, so about roughly 2 hours in the day to concentrate on participating in extracurricular activities. Sometimes you're participating in debates, sometimes you're participating in you're volunteering at the local community, sometimes you are participating in school activities, and all of that you are doing that. But then we seem to feel that depth over breadth is the requirement of participation in extracurricular activities. Then of course a large number of universities will ask you about the evidence of leadership. So you must be able to demonstrate leadership. Now leadership could either be by holding leadership positions in your school or community. Leadership could also be thought leadership. All right. So thought leadership, if you're wanting to convey thought leadership, then that should be available as a form of evidence somewhere or the other. Then they look for balance. So are you just a bookworm? If you are just a bookworm, a large number of universities will not even take a look at your application, even if you are the best student in the world. They need to see a balanced person who is someone other than just being involved with the books. So therefore you need to take care of the fact that you are involved in your school clubs. So for example, if you're applying to computer sciences, it is going to be necessary that you're a member of the computer club of your school. If there is no such computer club in your school, kindly form one and then be the first one to start off the computer club, and you can tell them tell the admission committee, in fact in my school there was no such club, I formed it. Or if your school already has one, at least be the member of the club and participate in events. So don't say you love computers. Why? Because you read about coding in your CBSE curriculum. That is not enough. Then comes the last point of your extracurricular activities. which is true involvement. Because understand that while you're applying only once, the admission committee, members of the admission committee, every year are looking at 10,000 applications, 20,000 applications. So if somebody has been on the admission committee for 2 years, that person has had a look at least 20,000 applications. So they immediately know what is true involvement in an extracurricular activity and what is padding up. And if a large number of students ask me, sir, if I am able to produce a certificate, will it be helpful? The answer is no, because padding up is something that is easily understood by the admission committee, and in fact could be one of the reasons why your application itself will be rejected. Now coming to letter of recommendations. A large number of students seem to falsely suppose that the letter of recommendation, the best letter of recommendation is one where your teacher writes, Arindam was the best student in my school. For my school is 100 years old school, and I have never seen any such good student ever in my life before I saw this fellow. This fellow seems to be the manna from heaven. No, that is not the requirement of the recommendation letter. Understand first why the letter of recommendations at all have been introduced in the application process. It is because a large number of universities are not able to personally come down and interview each of the applicants. So the teacher is supposed to sit in the shoes of the admission committee, understand the requirements of the university, understand the requirements of the qualities that the student is supposed to have in order to be admitted to their university, and then say, it looks like this student who is applying to your university seems to be meeting up with the requirements of what a student should have in order to be a compelling applicant or a compelling candidate for admission in your university. The letter of recommendations will also be the place where the university will look for evidence of whatever activities or whatever accomplishments that you are stating in an application to be reiterated. So, for example, if you are getting your physics teacher to write your recommendation letter, and if you are someone who has participated on behalf of the school at some Olympiad, at some level of, science events in your school or outside, wherever it is, at least the best events that has brought out the best qualities in you are there in the recommendation letters. So it's not enough to say that, for example, Arindam was a very bright student in my class and he asked the very pertinent questions. It is not enough. Somewhere in your honors and achievements, if you have mentioned something about physics, please make sure that your physics teacher is also reiterating that in his or her letter of recommendations. What are all those information that needs to be included in the letter of recommendation? So, how have you been as a student? So, obviously, if the teacher writes that, such and such student was a very naughty boy in the class because he would not maintain discipline at all, you know where the application is going to be headed towards. Then, did you take any advanced level classes? So, for example, the ones amongst you who are writing advanced placements, please tell the teacher to write one line in that letter of recommendation that my school does not offer advanced placements, yet because of her interest in the subject, the student I know has appeared for advanced placement by studying on his or her own. That itself will make sure that your application stands at a level better than most other students. Then what were your grades like? So you got 70%. Was that the highest mark in the class? Was that the second highest mark? Was that in the top 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 percentile? What kind of activities that you participate in? What are your goals if that has been discussed? So, for example, a line in the uh, uh, recommendation letter could be there, the student has discussed her career aspirations with us, and in fact through one of these goal setting exercises that we had in our school, it has been identified that she is best suited for a career in, let's say, teaching chemistry to students. So that's sort of a line, goals which have been aligned with the child. And then what is the major, of course, so the teacher has to outline that we therefore recommend that the student be admitted in so and so major of so and so university. And then, so a good recommendation letter will have all of these 10 elements that are there. I need not go into it right now. I think I will look at point 3, which is, does the applicant have an unusual competence, talent, or leadership activity or leadership abilities? And then what motivates this person? So these are the 2 things which are extremely key in the recommendation letters, also extremely key in the application essays that you are writing. Somewhere when your recommendations will go, it needs to reiterate the elements that are there in your application essay. And that's the reason why, if you remember, I had said that start writing your application essay in the month of August and September, because once you have written the application essay, you know what are those elements in your essay that also needs to be reiterated in the letter of recommendation. And 2 of the key things are, does the applicant have an unusual competence, talent, or leadership ability? If you are claiming that and your teachers are not talking about it, or it will be assumed that you have not demonstrated any such talent or leadership or competence in your high school. So then whatever that you have stated is a figment of your imagination. Remember that the university is going to admit you only if you feel, only if the university feels that you are a student who will do very well in their university. Now understand that university education is far lot different than school education. In university education, you will have to face a large number of obstacles and difficulties in research work, in completing your assignments, in understanding topics that are abstract in nature. The only way of overcoming all these obstacles is to be highly motivated in whatever subject that you are studying. And so therefore the admission committee, through this letter of recommendations, through your application essays, through the various other parts of your application, are mainly trying to judge you on 2 things: whether you are academically bright enough to join their university, and whether you have enough motivation in you to complete the degree in the 4 years time allocated normally for completing the degree. So these 2 parts must be there in the letter of recommendation. Of course, the other parts, if they can be added, are extremely useful as well.